Hello and welcome. My guest today is Anthony Friedlander, a 19-year-old singer-songwriter from New Jersey, and he's going to talk about his music and his plans for the future, as well as play a few of his songs. He's going to start with a song called Dark Places.
Trying to get a grip on these words, manifested from the songs I'd heard. Ripping and bleeding, a gun is feeding you, a shield is beating you down. I light the sun across the city, so the spirits around me can see what's going down. There were blue emeralds, but they were just innuendos for something dirty. Could I be naive, or am I just dirty? Dirty. I lift my head from the pillow. If I knew I wasn't dead, there's something inside, you see, rewriting me. Lord, I've lost my head, and somewhere it's okay, somewhere it's fine. They were crafting an idol, and it worked this time. There were blue emeralds, but they were just innuendos for something dirty. Could I be naive, or am I just dirty? Dirty, and no more hiding in dark places. I've been away for too long, and no more hiding my face, 'cause I'm too young.
That was Anthony Friedlander with Dark Places. So thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
So I want to talk about how you describe your music, because I hear it and I think of folk music, which is a pretty simple label, and I'm wondering if you agree with that.
I think it's cool to be called folk, but I just tried, when I wrote these songs, I really tried to make them sustain themselves as much as possible with just the acoustic guitar, just so they were big enough, so I didn't have to worry about a band or anything.
So that's intentional,
Yeah.
to keep it acoustic, because you also play electric guitar. You do a lot of kind of blues stuff,
Oh yeah.
but you're usually, when you play your own songs, you're playing an acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, you just recently recorded your first EP, and it's all solo acoustic, and I'm wondering if if it's going to stay that way. Do you consider these definitive versions of these songs, or do you think in the future you'll re-record them with full band, or how's that going to be?
Well, on the EP, in context, I really don't bother. The first song needs a band behind it. The second one, Friend, I think is perfect the way it is, just acoustic. The third one, True Color, definitely needs a band behind it. And the last one, Good Year, doesn't really need a band because it can be like a folk song, or it could be like it could have a band. So it needs some bass drums.
So do you think about that as you're writing? Do you think which songs right away will need a band in the future? Do you hear it in your head? Or is it something you decide after, working with the songs and playing with them?
Well, when I play it, I'm so excited, I don't really realize it. But then when I think if other people are going to hear it, like it needs some kind of momentum, like pushing it forward.
Mm-hmm. So you think about production and things after writing the songs. At first it's just kind of, immediate and just whatever comes to your head, you just kind of write it, and then later think about production and sonic details, things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Do you want to play another song?
Oh, yeah.
Well, what is this called?
Montana.
Okay, and I want to ask you real quick before you play it. You've been in New Jersey your whole life, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering why you were drawn to Montana in your songwriting.
Well, it's a metaphor for John Mayer. He lives there.
Okay.
And me and my girlfriend really like him, and she wasn't my girlfriend at the time, but the song's about basically going to Montana is like a fantasy.
So it's just something you hold in common that was sort of something you bonded over, I guess?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, here's Anthony Friedlander with Montana.
Do I need to say a word? Ooh, we know what's going on. No one has heard, and it won't, 'cause it's not right, but it's not wrong. Let's go to Montana. We can get away, hide in a secret. I don't have to pay. If I could spare her some pain, would I still be nice? We'll go to Montana, but not tonight, not tonight. Oh, not tonight. God is love and love is real. Ooh, make me feel the way I need to feel. Take my heart and lead it on. Ooh, it's not weak, but it's not too strong. Let's go to Montana. We can get away, hide in a secret. I don't have to pay. If I could spare her some pain, would I still be nice? We'll go to Montana, but not tonight. I'm sorry for the things you'll never know, and things you never tried to hide. After all, it's only half of the story, where all the glory, it wasn't all there. So I'm going to Montana. I've gone to find my hero. I've gone to find my hero. I'm going to Montana. I've gone to find my hero. I've gone to find my hero. Oh, 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 oh.
That's Anthony Friedlander with Montana. We were just talking about recording your first EP in context, and I want to talk a little bit more about that because you've described yourself as a bit of a perfectionist in the past. So I'm wondering if it was hard for you to be in the studio and try and get perfect takes of the songs.
Yeah, it was, because not so much a perfectionist, I just can't stand it not being as good as it can be. So yeah, I guess I'm a perfectionist. Only in that area.
Mm-hmm. And it was all recorded live, right? You didn't overdub or anything?
No.
Is that important to you to do it live, or could you do overdub also?
Oh wait, no, it was overdub.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
You just forgot?
I recorded by myself first, so
okay.
Then I went to the studio. It was just guitar, then singing.
And the song you just played, Montana, is new. It was just written a couple weeks ago or something like that?
Yeah, like a month or two maybe.
And you have another song that you're going to play that's also just a few days old, right?
I came up with a guitar a while ago. I love playing it. It feels so good because it just like bounces. But then, yeah, the words came the other day, and I'm still. It might be done. I'm not sure.
Well, you're very prolific. You write a lot. How often do you write?
Whenever something happens, like when I try to write a song out of just negative feelings, it never works, because like I could do something to make the situation that makes me feel so negative better, and once I realize that, like honestly, like the truth of like how I should feel, like then I usually write a song.
And is that consistent? That's usually the process? It's
feel
negative, realize the solution, and then write?
Yeah, most of the time.
Well, it's a very positive process compared to just being sad and just writing about how sad you are.
I know, because when I do that, I mean, it doesn't really lead anywhere. So.
Well, I'm glad you have such a positive process. And you just played your first real show. I mean, you've done open mics before and stuff, but you just had a show that you were booked to play, and there were people who came.
Yeah, it was really cool.
What was that like? Were you nervous at all?
I don't know. I just don't think about it. I just like get up and play, and then like midway through, I'll think about it and forget the words.
And well, what kind of response did you get?
They all liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I had demos, and I made them like 5 minutes before I left. I wrote my name on a little blank CD and Sharpie, and they were trying to give me money, and I took it.
Well, that's good. That's a very common model these days, the pay what you want model.
Yeah.
So that's a great transaction when you just offer it up and people just want to support you and your music that you're trying to make.
I was like, I can't take it as my hand reached for it.
I can't blame you. If people, want to support you, you should definitely accept it. And but this was your first show, but you've been writing songs for like a few years now.
Yeah, I've been writing songs since I got my guitar when I was about 8.
Mm-hmm.
I was always writing. I mean, I was big into AC/DC was the first. So I think in about 6th grade I wrote my first song. It was called Fresh to the Core.
And was it influenced by AC/DC?
Yeah, it sounded like... Yeah.
Well, I assume it was on electric guitar?
Yeah. It was just drums and 2 guitars.
Well, but you have been writing for so long, and you're only now starting to play shows. So I'm curious as to what your plan is for the future. Are there any specific venues you're planning on playing? Are you going to go on tour? Are you going to put together a band, or what is the plan?
I have a bad habit of waiting for stuff to happen, so I got to stop doing that and start making stuff happen.
Yeah.
I really don't know where to play besides coffee houses and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I guess I just need to book shows. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm going to do.
Well, I hope you are very successful with that.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to say before you play your last song?
If you don't watch King of the Hill, you should watch it.
Anthony Friedlander wants you to watch King of the Hill, and that's his final message. Actually, I also want to ask you about the song you're about to play real quick. You said that it's brand new, and you had the music first, and then you added the lyrics. And I'm curious as to... And you just wrote it, and now you're going to play it?
Yeah.
And you haven't really played it for anyone yet, for the most part?
Nope.
Do you do this often? Do you just kind of put a song together and then it's done, or you said you're still not completely sure if it's done?
I don't know, because sometimes it feels like it's missing a little something. I think I need a band behind it to really figure out where it needs to go next.
So it's more production than words and music.
Yeah, because they'll happen.
Mm-hmm. And what's the song called?
It's called Never Again.
Never Again?
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining me.
Anytime.
And so here's Anthony Friedlander with Never Again.
Never again will I lose my way. Never again will I have too much to say. Oh, never again. Ooh, da 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 da. Never again will I lead the pen. Never again will I believe that I am more than just a man. Oh, never again. Oh, da-na, da-na, da-na-na. You know me. You never let me down. You show me on this trying ground. Never again will I move too fast. Never again will I fall. Will I fall for the past? No, never again. Da-na, da-na, da-na-na. You know me. You never let me down, and you showed me on this trying ground, on this trying ground, on this trying ground.
That was Anthony Friedlander with Never Again. Thank you so much for joining me, Anthony.
Anytime. Great.
You can find Anthony's new EP called In Context at his newly created SoundCloud account, and look for him in your local coffee shop.
And you can search me up on Facebook.
Facebook.
Anthony Friedlander.
Anthony Friedlander.
Friedlander.
Anthony Friedlander. Thank you.
Anytime.
Hello and welcome. My guests are Vandervalls, a duo consisting of Brian Billings and Andrew Parsegian. They've just put out their first release, a self-titled EP of 4 tracks. I met with Vandervalls in Parsegian's home studio, where I spoke to them and was treated to an exclusive performance. Here's The Lovely Bandit from this session.
Vandervalls. Thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
Right.
Be here.
You're welcome, Greg.
Hey, Drew.
Thank you, Greg.
So, how did you guys first meet?
Well, we met at a rock music camp in Long Island 4 years ago. 4 summers ago, I guess. Or would that be 3 years ago? 4 summers ago. So yeah, we met there. We actually taught rock music together. Taught a band.
And at what point did you realize that you connected musically?
Well,
It was after the summer, we decided to get together to see if we could write some music. So kind of a spontaneous thing. And it was really fun, and we came up with some good stuff.
yeah. We also, during that period of time when we were teaching rock music together, we ended up playing a show, just kind of like spur of the moment kind of thing, with a bunch of older songs that I had written, and that went really well. So I thought, oh, this could probably work out as like maybe a writing partnership, or definitely as a performance thing. So it was fun. But after that, we started writing songs together, and I've liked it a lot.
And how much of it is written by both of you? Is it really collaborative, or you write stuff and bring it to each other?
Both.
I think it depends. Like, To Brooklyn was one of those instances where I had an idea and came here, and then I had this kind of song, and then it wasn't quite finished. It didn't have like the shape of a song, but it had all of the parts. And then together we would, I would sing and play the verses over and over, and Andrew would think of really interesting things to make those verses work. And then we came together on the chorus quite a bit, but it depends. Sometimes it's someone brings one idea or almost a full song. Other times the songs come out of us just playing together for several hours. It could start with a single chord, or like the chord progression that we then build on, or a melody. But it really is.
It really depends on what the song needs, or what direction it feels like would be good for it to go, and then to follow that process. Trust that. It seems to work really well.
And you mentioned some of your older songs, and I'm wondering, because you both had solo projects in the past, and I'm wondering what you make of that music now.
I have a lot that's unreleased. It just was never recorded in the right form. And I think it's good. I think it's definitely influenced a lot of what we're doing now in a good way. But right now, it's great to work with Brian, because he has excellent ideas, and it helps me to come up with, I think, are interesting ideas as well. And the songs, the way we work, and given our backgrounds, they fuse well together and create something pretty interesting and unique.
I happened to put mine out, my older songs, and at the time I put them out, I really loved them. I thought they were really nice songs, and I thought they represented what I wanted to do at the time. And since then I've wanted to dislike the songs, but each time I go back to them, I really like them. And many of my friends still really like that music as well. And it's something I don't want to like as much, because I feel like I've changed a lot as a songwriter and as a musician, and what I'd like to do in terms of my songwriting. But I still really do love those old songs, and they feel really nice.
Do you think you'll ever bring those back with the new project, or are they just in the past?
Well, I mean, I would be happy to play mine. We've thought of playing some of your old ones.
Yeah. The thing is, we've been writing a lot of songs over the last couple of years that we would like to, or I would like to at least, put into some sort of final form, and to record. We've started doing all that. But there are a lot of bits and pieces of ideas which I think are really good, that I would like to hear, that what we sort of came up together in the process of playing in particular, or seeing how an idea would reach where it wants to go, and yet those haven't found the proper form of a song yet. But there are a lot of neat bits and pieces that could find a home somewhere.
So do you think there will be releases in the near future?
I hope so. We have something in mind now. That's like kind of like a multi-part song. So, concept song, right? So it's a single, one song, and then there's a complement to it. Kind of like it's like a suite or something, but it's a rock song. So hopefully that will be done soon.
So with all the songs you've been working on, there are only 4 on the EP. So how did you pick these 4 songs?
We worked to record them. We really spent time choosing the right sounds and producing them together, and I engineered and recording them properly. So we figured that those are the ones that we should choose to record, and those are the ones that we've spent the time to find that form, which is professional. The other ones are more just for us to get ideas. They're sketches and not really ready to put out. Those are in pretty good shape. That's what we did.
I also felt like these particular 4 songs, worked well, kind of as a group. The way they are on the EP, there's Practical Kind, which starts off with this really, it's the simplest song, really, in terms of structure and like harmonic progression, all these things. It's the simplest of the tracks, and it starts off that way. And I feel like all the tracks together really kind of represent what we were trying to do musically at the time. And then it goes from Lovely Bandit, and to me it gets like gradually more complex in terms of structure and like harmonic progression, and just musically more complex, and even in terms of message and stuff like that, it gets more complex as the EP rolls on. So I just thought those 4 songs worked really well together. They are all of like a similar tempo and kind of mood, which we've talked about, and there's an advantage and a disadvantage to that, but I happen to think the 4 songs out of the many that we had, those 4 worked really well to represent what we were trying to do musically. So
I agree. And there are a lot of other songs which are quite different styles, different tempos that haven't made it to the EP.
Which may be on the concept song.
You recorded the whole thing here, right? In your home studio?
All here.
And why is that instead of going to the big?
We don't have any money.
That's a good enough reason.
Yeah, it's money, and also like, I mean, personally, I feel like this is an EP, and the most important thing is that people are hearing your music in whatever form it happens to be. I mean, we happen to have a lot of really nice equipment here that we could use. So, apart from the money thing, the sound we've been able to get and the recording quality we've been able to get within this room is great, I think.
Yeah, we've worked hard to use what we have in the studio. And I think it's pretty successful, given what it is. It'd be great to go and do it in Mulligan in a big fancy studio. But I think we got the right feel for these songs.
You definitely. It's a really intimate space.
Neighbors.
Yeah. Was that a problem at all?
Not really. Yeah.
There was
sometimes it helps the writing process.
There were times you'd record something and there would definitely be a noise in the background that you didn't want there. Or there's a trumpet player who lives not far away from here. He's really great, but sometimes that's in the recording.
Really?
Yeah. So it just plays and plays right out the window, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Your mama coming through.
And does that really frustrate you, or you just kind of leave it and just consider it part of the experience?
Well, I've found that most of the time, as you're mixing the track and stuff, it is inaudible. You can't really hear it. But certainly there are times, I'm trying to think of an example. Actually, there was a parade one day, and it was really, really loud. That would be a day you couldn't record anything at all because there was a parade. So that's all.
'cause all of my words been wrapped up like curds as they roll downtown, as they roll downtown. Send the bodies all to Brooklyn, 'cause plenty of plans are blown by sunny sides friction as they grow so tall, and you feel so small. So you tell your story about when you struck gold, and now you got a bit of money, honey. You better make it fucking grow. Send your money back to Brooklyn, 'cause we've got a little bridge that needs a plenty of fixing, 'cause no one rolls downtown. Better shine all your lanterns. You better shine all your lanterns. You better shine all your lanterns.
So there's a hint of like electronic. There's electronic beats on here a little bit. Why is that?
Well,
Sounds cool. Sounds good.
It does sound
We
cool.
like it.
We also don't have a drummer, so we didn't record it in a studio because we don't have money, and we didn't. We used a lot of electronic drums, mainly because we like the sound, but also because we don't have a drummer. On one of the songs, which I think is probably the most successful, like electronic drum stuff, is on Black and Cuffs. And Andrew's cousin helped us program those, so those are a little more nuanced, and I think that works really well as electronic percussion. But and it's just nice. I happen to like electronic music, and it's definitely part of the sound. Like I want that as part of our sound. So
we wanted it, or I wanted it. We talked about it as something that has somewhat of a modern flavor, whatever that means, so that it's not sort of timeless or classic, but has something that could feel contemporary. But mostly just because it feels good. Those beats feel really good with these kinds of sounds over them, and Brian singing, and the way the songs came together when we found those beats in a way that I don't think they would have.
That's true, actually.
And that really gave them a lot of power.
And you mentioned somebody who helped you come in and record, or to make the beats. So I'm wondering about the musicians you had come in and record certain parts, like the female vocalist on some of the tracks.
Yeah, Maddie Wyatt, a friend of ours, is a singer, musician. She also taught at the music camps that we taught at, and so we realized that the tracks really could use had female parts. That was an important part of how those songs were coming together. So we invited her to come over, and she just did a fantastic job. She's a great musician.
Yeah, she has a really beautiful voice. And I'm trying to think of what else to say.
More about Maddie.
What about Maddie? Yeah. I mean, she just, I think, works perfectly for these songs, like the quality of her voice. So she was kind of an obvious choice to pull in to have for that tune. We tried like several different things. We had a lot of our friends come over and see if they could sing them, but I think always we knew who we would like to choose for those things, and it was a matter of getting them here. And Martin Zimmerman, who programmed the electronic drums on Black and Cuffs and stuff, I saw his band play in Brooklyn almost 2 years ago, I guess. And he was playing drums for that band, and I really liked what he was doing.
His band called Bobby.
Yeah, his band called Bobby, and it was just really minimal. He wasn't overplaying, and he was really listening to the musicians he was with. And I thought, if he could do something similar in terms of electronic drums, and he seemed really sensitive to sound, so I thought he'd be really nice to have as a drummer. That was actually the only person we've ever had as a drummer. We had him play real drums one time too.
He's broken his collarbone, so he's in recovery.
Yeah. And Maddie has her own band, so she doesn't play with us.
And we never had a bass player.
Yeah, we never had a bass player.
So you both have experience with classical music, and I'm wondering how, if at all, that affects your writing.
Actually, I think if I were just to say one thing about the whole classical music having some type of influence on the music now, I don't think it has a whole lot to do with the way I play, but I think it has a lot more to do with like the way I listen to the music that we're playing together. So, for instance, even like in rehearsals that we've had where we're practicing songs, working towards a performance. To me, at least, as I'm listening to them, the things I choose for us to work on are, like, I learned those things from being a classical musician and playing in guitar quartets and playing in chamber ensembles. So when we rehearse together, there are times where we're doing things that I would do as a classical musician and working with other classical musicians where we'll work on dynamics together. Most of the time in our performances we're very tight in the sense that we're not tripping over each other at all. We tend to align well, and I think it's because we rehearse that.
And we have that training as classical musicians that is part of that study of how to work and how to practice, how to perform. So it's a very particular thing. It's useful. It's a good way to bring it together for this music.
And in dynamics too. I think like one thing we've talked a lot about is we see a lot of rock bands. I saw a rock band last weekend, and they were really good, but the whole time they were playing, it was just loud, you know. So they came out, and from the second they came on stage to the moment they left, everything was just at one dynamic level. It was all at the same volume. It was just loud, and there was something appealing about it, but there was no subtlety, and it was it just isn't the way I want to play. So I'm hoping that our live performances and our recordings have a little more just variation in terms of dynamics than others do. Because I think it's something rock musicians don't oftentimes think about. They just play loud. So, thank you.
I also grew up playing classical piano, and was trained to be a classical pianist. Was on that track, and when in my teenage years I fell in love with rock and roll, and I pretty much taught myself how to play different songs, different instruments. I'm mostly a keyboard player, but I play other instruments as well. So, and I've always, what Brian was saying, I just fell in love with rock and roll, and I love it, and it's great. And he didn't mention this, but he's a really good jazz guitarist as well. So I think that's an influence on both of our writing as well. And it's a lot of it is not really. It comes through in experimentation rather than intentionally using a process or getting too academic about it. It's more important that the song again has a flow to it that might be influenced by those ideas, but it's not necessarily an attempt to do something in some really rigid way because that was something that we've been influenced by before because we were trained in a certain way. I'll speak for myself anyway. It's more about maybe this way in which Beethoven would do something with Brahms or somebody like that would work in a way that could help this song and could help these rock and roll in general go in a different direction, do something that's quite interesting. So I think I hope that the influence comes through in a really natural way that is about creating unique music rather than looking over our shoulder at things.
So I want to talk about some of the songs, like To Brooklyn, which isn't on the EP. Why is that?
Well, I mean, we talked a little bit about how the 4 songs we currently have work well. Also, we talked a little bit about how each of the 4 songs we feel found a place in terms of as a recording, and To Brooklyn we haven't really hit that place yet, so we don't have a really fantastic recording of it. And I just think, as a song, it's meant for something else. There's also a song we wrote before any of the ones that are on the EP, and I think it's, at least for me, it's really easy to get attached to the newer stuff you're writing and kind of just throw the old stuff by the wayside and dismiss it as like not that great, or we're working on stuff that's so much more interesting. But as we kept writing, we would always go back to that song and say, that's such a great song. It was really one of the first tunes we wrote together. So, it didn't make it to the EP maybe because it wasn't new enough. We didn't have a great recording, but it will definitely be on something.
And then the song Winter, it kind of seems to address like climate change, but in a very apolitical way. Was that just a natural feeling for you, or am I completely misinterpreting?
Well, I think it's like...
Is this moment?
Yeah.
So we were here on break, and Martin was here.
So I was going to say, actually.
Okay. You want to tell it?
Well, yeah.
Okay, got it.
So it was the day we actually were with Martin Zimmerman programming all the drums for Black and Cups, and we'd spent a whole day in this room, so like 10 hours, and everyone was really tired, and we'd all eaten a bunch of mixed nuts, and it was just, we all wanted to go home. But I just started singing that actually as we were all leaving, just kind of joking around, and singing about like climate change. Because that particular year, that was 2012, there was no winter. It didn't snow once in New York, and I was wishing it would snow because I love the winter and I feel really comfortable. So I started singing those lines like, I'm out, it's January, picking up the flowers.
The verses.
Yeah, the verses. So I sang those verses, and Andrew started playing along with them. And at first it was just kind of a joke, but we were actually like, oh, that's kind of cool. So within like a few days, actually, Andrew had sat here. He was by himself, and he came up with the choruses, and they happened to fit really well. So the verses started off as a joke, which is really nice, and then the choruses fit really nicely, and we came up with an outro and a lot of really beautiful ambient sounds. But yeah, it deals with climate change in a very like unpolitical way, mainly just because I missed winter. I really like winter.
So you weren't trying to like, make a statement or anything?
No, not at all. No, it was just like it was missing winter, and I wish it would come. It came this year, and even the end, like there's only water. There's nothing deep about it. It's just kind of just rain.
Or
the ice caps.
I mean, I took Brian's ideas from those recordings of the lyrics for the verses. So when I was working on the chorus, I tried to just bring it together as a complete story, but it was intentionally ambiguous, and yet it could be a lot of different things, because it could just be a kid's song, and yet it has all this other meaning. So that part was intentional, that it would intentionally be a lot of different things, and it's it goes a lot of directions, and it has a lot to say, I think.
Some people hear it and think we're talking about like a girl we really wish would come back. It's not the case with this song. But I also think it's, out of all the tunes that I've come to like it the most on the EP, it's very, it really travels. It has a great trajectory. It has a really nice story. It has so many people involved as well, like vocally too. It's just really, really beautiful. I started, and Maddie comes in, Andrew comes in, and then during the outro, it's a bunch of us singing. So it's really cool. I think it's a great song. But yeah, not assigned to one, party.
And at the beginning, I almost didn't recognize your voice, because I feel like you don't usually, your singing's like a little bit different. Do you agree with that, or?
It is, yeah. Andrew
I thought it was Andrew for a second.
Right. Andrew and I have talked a lot about it, just in terms of like what it means to be a vocalist and a good vocalist. And I think the most important thing that I've learned from doing this, that I did not learn when I was younger doing the other music I was making, but is that I really just wanted to find my own voice for this particular type of music, and that I tried my best to keep all influence aside. So any vocalist I was really inspired by or really loved listening to, I left it at that. Like they're someone I enjoy. So I spent the time just trying to find my own voice. And what was important through that process was, can my listener hear what I'm trying to say? Like, that was very, very simple. Like, when I'm singing, can people understand my words? And just trying to be as direct as I can about the delivery without any, there's no glitter, there's no glamour involved. It's just, hopefully, just a straight vocal line that people can connect with, and that is somehow mine. So I didn't want any influence.
And this was recorded like a little over a year ago. So how come there was such a delay to finally put it out?
Been busy. We've been doing different things, teaching, we're both teachers. A lot of reasons, but we're doing it now, and it's a good thing.
Are you really excited to finally just have it out just alone?
I am.
Does it feel like a big?
Yeah, it feels good. I just hope people hear it. So that feels good. I guess we've done that part, right? Putting it out there. I just hope that folks listen to it or come across it somehow, and that they enjoy it. Yeah, I don't mind taking the time.
You stand up while you feel so sunlight touch your hair, sunlight touch the hand. Julie's got some motion, hungry like the ocean. Soon like come your pain. Oh no, 'cause soon you feel alive. Stand up like you feel so soon like come evil, soon like comes evil, soon like in your palm hammer. Julie's got some motion, hungry like the ocean, soon like in your hand. Oliver, can you stand up like me? 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 Soon like in your palm, only angel. Soon like on your hand, oh Lord. Soon like in your morgue, me and your ocean. Fall like your man, falling on a man,
Is there any last thing you want the world to know?
I think that's it.
This is our first interview.
Well,
Thank you,
you guys
Greg.
did really, really well. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
A band from New Jersey. Senor. Alright.
Ready?
Any fucking way.
Okay. Hello and welcome. My guests are Pumba, a rock band from New Jersey, and they have a new EP called Keeping Dogs in Houses, and they're going to start with a song called Horse Organ.
That was Pumba with horse organ. And they're making their way over now. Thanks for joining me, Pumba.
Thanks for having us, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Greg.
No problem. So, before we start, if you could each go around and say your name so that we have voices.
Philip Conine.
Jack and Braunstein.
Dan Lynch.
Well, thanks for joining me, Phil, Jack, and Dan. So, that song is called Horse Organ.
Yes.
How does one come up with a name for an instrumental song?
Usually you take a word or more and you attach it to the song, usually via a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
We have like a lot of words that mean a lot to us.
Like
Mostly-
horse organ?
Yeah, like horse. Like a lot of animal words. We don't go out of our way specifically to name things after animals, but I think a lot of the silly things that we talk about the most have to do with like animal faces and stuff.
They just look really funny.
They're
they
so
do
strange
ridiculous
looking.
things.
Look at them.
So, if someone who's never heard you asks you to describe Pumba, how do you do so?
I hate when people ask that.
Well, sorry.
I mean, I don't hate you for asking. I just like, the only reason I hate it is because it's very hard to describe.
The most recent description that I've seen by people other than us has been on a Facebook event. We were described as dancey space rock.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I saw that too.
I was pretty okay with that.
Yeah, I don't like space rock because I think of like Hawkeye, who I hate, or like. Well, I guess Spaceman 3
Pink
is good.
Floyd.
Oh yeah.
You hate Pink Floyd?
I would not mind a comparison to
Yeah,
Pink Floyd.
neither-
That would be
nobody
quite
said
the-
that.
Well, no one would.
You made an
compare
offended noise.
No, that was like a.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
I mean, people say. Like I think generally template wise, a lot of the sounds that we play with are what people have been calling a long time post rock. But I
Mhm.
think we all have a pretty tenuous relationship with that word post rock.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Because like.
It has a very boring stigma attached to it.
Yeah, and a very like pretend like rock is dead. Like we love rock.
Yeah, but also we
White
make a
Snake
lot of
for
like really
life.
ugly sounds sometimes, and those aren't really always associated with post rock.
Yeah, and all the bands that we like came of age listening to, who are called post rock, like are like the classic like Godspeed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All of them have sort of come out against how much they hate that word, and I think we don't really take ourselves seriously enough to like get angry at somebody for using it, but also we don't take ourselves seriously enough to earn that title.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, post anything just sounds like you're really pompous.
Except for card.
Postcard. Yeah, postcards.
Postcard.
Those are usually pretty cordial.
So, Dan, Jack, you use a lot of pedals.
Not really.
I use 2 pedals.
I use. I only use 5 pedals and a tuner. And Jeff uses what 5 pedals?
4
What do they do?
3 pedals and a tuner.
4 usually goes for it.
Yeah, well, we have pretty similar setups actually. The only thing different about mine is that I have like a whammy and a reverb pedal.
Mm-hmm.
But we both use 2 delay pedals, and each of our 2 delay pedals doubles as a looper.
Mm-hmm.
And then we both have distortion pedals.
Yeah, and I have an extra pedal made by Death by Audio. Shouts to Death by Audio for making a pedal that breaks all the time.
Word up.
Basically, what it does, it just like scrambles the feed of all the other pedals.
It also can silence the feed by not working.
Yeah,
It does that a lot.
it browns out a lot, you could say.
Yeah. Or just doesn't. Just like straight doesn't work at all. Just like, no.
And the creative process for Pumba is
Well, I mean,
everyone's
usually.
looked at Dan. Everyone being Dan and Phil. Or Jack and Phil.
Yeah, everybody did look at me. Well, for most of the songs that are on our EP, they were like, I would just have an idea alone in my basement and I'd play it with myself. And then I'd like go to Jack's house and he would be there and we'd play it together, and then Phil would be there later, and then he would add beats, and then the songs each had like a very distinct early identity that sort of changed as we kept playing them. Like there used to be a lot less going on in horse organ, but now it gets a little bit chaotic at points, which I think is cool.
I think like the evolution of our songs is mostly like they're mostly Dan's ideas, and then it's me trying to figure out how to make whatever I'm doing less boring and more interesting.
While still fitting.
Yeah, while still fitting in the thing.
Yeah.
Then I'm the glue that makes the structure happen.
That's beautiful.
What little structure we have. There's lots of like free sections.
Mm-hmm.
You won't hear it be like, if you hear horse organ one time, it's not gonna be like 8. It's gonna be like 8 bars one time and then like 12 bars the next time of like a certain section.
Are most of the songs
Kinda
like that? Are most of the songs like that? Kind of free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all are like pretty moody when it comes to playing music. So like there'll be times where we want to play the first part of horse organ for a really long time because we all feel like dancing or something. But then sometimes we'll just be like, this sucks. Like I don't feel happy right now. This is too dancey. And we'll play like the second part for a really long time, and it gets all grindy and like really abrasive. But like if we all feel good, we'll be tight. But if we're in different moods, then it falls apart. It's really weird.
Yeah. We're like, we all wear mood rings and like not the same color. then we determine the amount of bars of each part that we play based on the spectrum of the mood rings.
The closer to red, the less we play stuff.
Yeah.
The shorter amount of time it goes. Yeah.
Just kidding.
So when you were recording, how did you decide how much to do of each part? Did you decide ahead of time?
No.
Or did you just give each
It
other
was a
cues
lot of
while
eye
recording?
contact. We had the privilege of recording most of it live, so we
Yeah.
could just like look at each other.
And the things that we had blocking the sound bleed had little face holes in them.
They were huge face.
They were cool.
Huge face holes.
Was it like those carnival things where you stick your face?
They were basically kissing
No.
booths with pedals in them.
Cool. Do you guys want to play another song?
Sure.
No.
What is this?
The next song is a song called Cool Tunes.
Cool.
Yeah. Good job, Greg.
Cool. I did it again. That was on purpose. But yeah. So here is Pumba with Cool Tunes as they get set up to play Cool Tunes. And while they do get set up, I'll remind you that their brand new EP called Keeping Dogs in Houses is now available, which is very exciting.
That was Pumba.
That was
Cool tunes.
I like that.
So you guys are pretty loud.
We're always so
Yeah.
much louder than every other band that we play with.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
so
true.
Are you
much
bragging?
louder.
Well, we never play
either
places
the
with
bands that we
PAs,
play
so-
with are P words.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Either the bands we play with are pussies, or we're just not pussies and we're really loud. We're just like super loud in basements. Like people usually back up when we go on.
I don't think I agree that
Other people are
about shit
pussies?
talking about other bands that we played.
I hate every other band we play. No, I love bands we play with. We play with a lot of awesome bands like Ouchie Mouchie and everyone else is cool too. But Ouchie Mouchies are like our
Friends.
sister band.
Yeah.
Even though
As-
none of us are girls.
Yeah, they're all boys too, but still sister band.
As far as volume, I don't think it's so much that the bands we play with are pussies. I think it's just that they have the common courtesy to know that when you play, when
In
you
a
turn
house.
amplifiers up really loud inside of like a meat locker of a basement, that that all the sound like gets lost in this little like.
And also there are neighbors to be considerate of.
But we don't care about
But
any of that.
yeah, but it's weird because like we're always the loudest band that plays, and we always go on at like 1:30 in the morning. So I feel like we're the loudest and rudest band that plays every time.
But it's just so we can hear each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but actually though,
Yeah.
that's like a legitimate concern.
And how do you guys end up in these basement shows that you usually play as opposed to, established venues?
Well, Phil goes to a place called Temple University,
Mhm.
and there are people who live in houses there. They go to the school and they like to party, so they have parties and we play it.
Cool.
So in conclusion, we're not loud because we like to hurt people.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good.
Like we don't use it as a tool of like being, meanie, bully
Destructive.
band.
Mm-hmm. It's just natural.
It's just, I mean, we just don't really feel, we get self-conscious if we're not playing
It's part of
at a
the
certain
sound.
volume.
Yeah, and also like I have a solid state amp that's broken. And the tone that I need to not sound like an idiot starts around like 7
Yeah.
out of 10 on the knob thing. So yeah, it's really frustrating when you're playing at a place that has a PA and they turn you down to about 4 and all your tone's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
It stinks.
one time Dan had to play through somebody else's amp. And
I
he
sounded like Thin Lizzy. It was horrible.
Jailbreak was stuck in my head all day.
Yeah, well, I mean,
For
I
no
was
reason.
no, I played the riff from it.
No, I mean today.
Oh, today? Oh, that's a great song. That's why.
Tonight there's gonna
It'll be a jailbreak.
somewhere in this town. See me and the boys, we don't mess around.
Yeah, great band.
We're going to break out of jail. We're not going to be in jail.
That was
Yeah.
Pumba with Jailbreak. So let's talk about this record, Keeping Dogs in Houses, that you traveled to New York to record. Why did you do that?
Well, over the internet, we befriended.
Befriend and then befriended.
Yeah, well, basically, I'll tell the story. So, I worked for a website called 365 Albums a Year, rest in peace.
Did you guys make it through 1 year?
They made it through like 2.5 years. I was only on for like 6 months. But yeah, so I got to basically like write up any album that I wanted to, and I became a huge fan of what I still consider to be probably the greatest band that's still doing things today, called Celestial Shore. They're a pop group from New York City. And so Sam caught wind of the review. Sam Owens is the front man of Celestial Shore. So we befriended him and he liked the write-up, and then we somehow stayed en communique via Facebook, probably. So we asked him to mix our EP and he said yes.
Awesome.
Record
Record it and mix it.
Yeah. So, was it hard to record music that you usually improvise live?
No, we
Get
basically
it.
just did exactly what we do live anyway. There
So-
were just more microphones.
Mhm.
And the plan was to just bang it out and then mix it that night,
Yeah.
and then leave with a finished EP, and then
It took like 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, it took 6 months of not doing anything.
It took about
and then
4
doing-
days, but those 4 days happened to be spread over.
We took like a huge break.
Well, we only
after
did.
we recorded it because we
Yeah.
did, like, I don't know why, but
We only did recording for 2 days.
Yeah, and I think we were, after the first time we recorded, I think we were all a little bit like we were really excited, but we were all a little disappointed because I think it was just the shell shock of learning that you couldn't just do that quickly.
Yeah.
So then a couple months later.
You okay there?
I'm doing.
A couple months later, we went back up and we went to Greg Albert's apartment, the bassist of Social Store, and it smelled like bacon. And we
He was
recorded.
cooking bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we recorded a bunch of overdubs in his bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
and then.
Well, you in his bathroom, me in his kitchen living room.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
He actually plays bass on the recorded version of Horse Organ.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And could you have recorded it any other way than live? Would you have
We
considered?
could have. It probably just wouldn't have
It wouldn't have
sounded
been
as
cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wouldn't have like.
It's a very
meshed.
interpersonal thing, you know.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want the world to know about Pumba?
We'll just list all of our dogs' names and breeds.
Okay, I'll start. Leona is my favorite dog that ever walked the planet. And she's a mutt, a mix between a beagle and a lab, I guess. I don't really know what her exact, what her mom and dad were like. I don't know what they were like. I never got the pleasure to meet them. And Piper is a goofy ass golden retriever.
Mm-hmm.
I have one dog. His name's Oliver, and he's a mix between a Newfoundland and a Great Pyrenees. And he weighs a lot of pounds, and he takes up a lot of space. And he has a really wet mouth.
Way
Nice.
too wet.
So
He gets my
nice.
clothes wet. It's not that
He
nice.
like leaves like
Makes
drool
me
and,
wet.
and like food deposits on furniture and clothing.
He's skinned too.
Yeah, he steals toilet paper. It's awful.
I have one dog, and her name is Twilly, but within the circle of Pumba, she goes by Henchman,
Mm-hmm.
because Phil and Jack came to my house one day and forcibly renamed her. She actually responds pretty well to it, which is funny. But today, I let her into my basement. She looked at me for about 5 seconds, walked over, pooped in the basement,
Oh my.
and then left, which was really aggravating because I had just let her in from outside, which is where you're supposed to poop as a dog.
Yeah.
She came in to poop, and then I'm pretty sure she went back outside, which was really annoying.
Oliver pooped down here too.
Yeah,
We had to remove it with a snow shovel.
it was one of the largest poops I've ever seen in my life.
Was it hard at least?
No.
No.
Oh no, it was loose. It's the worst. That's like why we took up the carpet in my drum room, because my dog poops so many times, and like we have to like feed her rice. And I was cooking chicken. I was cooking chicken for my dog, and I go downstairs like look at all my. And I was like looking at emails and stuff, like pretty important stuff. And I go back upstairs, and my entire house is just smoked out, dude. And it still smells. It was like 3 or 4 days ago. And it still smells terrible because there was chicken burning on the pan. I was making it special for my dog, and she didn't even have the like. She didn't even come tell me. She wasn't barking or anything, so it just stood up there and burned to a crisp.
Damn.
I've gone through 2 cans of oust, and my house still
Ew.
smells like burnt
Yeah.
chicken. So like the worst burnt chicken you could ever imagine.
Well, in clothing, I think the most important thing to note about Pumba is that if you're ever walking a dog and that dog decides to like take a poop on the side of the thing, make sure you look at their face. The face they make. They're like taking shit in public.
Well, it depends on the dog, but my dog looks like she gets really self-conscious. She like looks at the ground. She looks around. Never looks up though.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Pumba.
Thanks for having us.
I'd
Thanks,
like
Greg.
to do your last song,
Yeah.
which is not on the new record. It's a right.
Right. It's a song we played live a couple times before. We thought it was going to be like the sound of new Pumba, like the sound of Pumba to come. But it kind of just sounds like watered down versions of all of the reverby rock bands that we listen to. And there is usually there has been singing on it.
There aren't any official lyrics though. It's always
Yeah,
really
we always
improv.
make them up on
What do you
spot
guys usually
about
talk about? I'm curious.
our dad.
Yeah, usually our dads. Like when we played at that Red Dwarf roller rink place.
Laser tag.
Laser tag roller rink arena of death. My dad was sitting in the back and wearing a really dumb hat, so I just yelled about his hat.
Yeah.
At Beardfest recently, Jack accused a man standing near the stage of being his dad.
Yeah, I wasn't wearing
Turned out
my glasses,
That
but
guy
I was
was
like
not here.
trying to communicate with him, like expressing really intimate memories from my childhood to see if he would change his facial expression. And he wasn't, and I wasn't wearing my glasses, so I couldn't really tell if he was or not, but I don't think he was, and I started to get really offended. So,
It wasn't his dad.
yeah. So that's why we don't sing it unless there's enough stimulus in the room to.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Thanks, Pumba.
You're welcome, Greg.
Pumba,
You're welcome, Greg.
whose new EP, Keeping Dogs in Houses, is at pumba.bandcamp.com.